Have you allowed yourself to be morally corrupted in the face of relentless propaganda and societal upheaval in the last 12 months? Or have you remained true to yourself and to your values and to what you hold dear? That's what I want to talk about in this video. I want to acknowledge the three main areas that society's changed, really, and how some people have allowed themselves to fall prey in the face of relentless brainwashing, and to celebrate the lots of people that there are out there who haven't fallen prey to the indoctrination. And more power to you, and that's what I want to talk about today. So the first observation that I've made in the last year is the fact that so many people, millions of people, have had their hearts darkened and their souls blackened. Many of them, most of them, don't even realise it. I don't know whether you've noticed the same thing yourself, but if you are what we would call an awake person who is aware of the world and their place in it and what the massive changes that have happened this year, I'm sure you will as well have noticed a dramatic change in people's behaviour. What they are doing, what they're not doing, and what they now find acceptable from an ethical and moral standpoint. I think if anyone had as an individual, if you have even the merest understanding of two things, history, particularly recent European history, number one, and number two, the human condition itself, then you would see this for exactly what it is. And you wouldn't allow yourself to be, and your behaviour to be moulded in the way that lots of people's behaviour has been moulded, because you would see it for what it is. You would see the dangers that lie ahead. And I really do think that not enough people have a basic understanding of those two aspects, critically important aspects to understand. History and how human civilizations can descend into a deeply evil tyranny, and the human condition itself, which allows that to happen. So, how high or low do you set the bar for morality? And if you set the bar for morality at a high level, and have refused to let that bar be lowered despite everything that's gone on, then I want to say, I think you're amazing for doing so, because not many people have held firm to their morals. Too many people have had their moral compass recalibrated. The way that we've let down children and old people in particular, that we've sold out so many of our fellow countrymen and women. So many haven't spoken out. So many have gone along with rules that they know are wrong. So if you're not one of those people, if you have spoken out, if you've refused to comply with things that you know that are wrong, and if you've done it in accordance with an inner kind of moral guiding force, I want to say thank you, because we need people like you. And going forward, when the pressure is going to get even more intense to comply, to conform, to do as we're told, it's important that we stay true to our values. The second is, how high or low do you set the bar for freedom now? I detect a real air of optimism now. You know, Boris Johnson has told us that we can sit with a friend on a park bench for a cup of coffee in mid-March. Wow. We can go to the pub, is it, at the end of April, and sit in a group of six or something. This is not a reason to celebrate. If you are someone who thinks that it's the government's role to give us freedom and take it away at a whim, then I'm sorry, you're wrong, because it's not. So we're now in the situation where, after the biggest robbery of freedoms for hundreds of years, we're being fed scraps of meat, and we're going to be grateful for that. Well, no. My bar for freedom and liberty is still up here. Our freedom is a contract with our maker, not with our governments. So again, If you are somebody who has obstinately refused to lower their bar for what freedom entails, more power to you. And again, hold firm. Know that there are many people standing with you who will not be bullied into exchanging our freedoms for participation in a health tyranny. So thank you again if you are one of those people. And the third observation that I have at the moment, it's one to do with sovereignty and self-respect. Because I think as a society we're suffering an identity crisis, and I think that many people are suffering from a severe lack of self-esteem. What else could explain the fact that so many have been ripe for manipulation into behaving in truly disturbing ways? A real lack of meaning and purpose in many people's lives, a real lack of intelligence in many people's lives, a real lack of emotional intelligence. However, many people don't fall into that category, and I know many of them. And again, if you are someone who has retained your self-esteem, your self-respect, who's been willing to be brave, speak truth, be authentically you, speak out against what you know is wrong, do things that are uncomfortable, and don't do things that you're under pressure to do simply because you're told to do so. Well, you, my friend, have retained your self-esteem and your self-respect, and that is something that we could choose to keep regardless of how tyrannical the outside world becomes. And as it becomes ever clearer that our lives have changed forever, that our period of free living is now gone, because we've been sold out by our fellow countrymen and women who couldn't give two shits so long as they get their summer holiday, so long as they've got their comforts. We don't live in a time, unfortunately, where the concept of freedom and liberty is one that is particularly important to a lot of people. And unfortunately, they will only realise how precious freedom and liberty is when one day they realise that they don't have any of it anymore. But we can still maintain our individual sovereignty, our ability to remain internally calm, and keep our self-respect and self-esteem in the face of some truly disturbing developments in our world. So if you've not been part of any of these disturbing developments, if you've talked about them, decried them, refused to take part in the evil or to condone it, then you are someone that we need going forward. So if it's tough for you, realise, please, you are and will be on the right side of history. And if nothing else, you will be able to say to the next generation, I stood for something. And that is priceless. So that's my message today. And I'll speak to you soon. Okay, bye-bye.